Johnny is undecisive about his future. He has options to choose from of which university to attend to, or where to move, or what kind of a career to pursue. But he doesn't know what to choose from and he can't decide because his brain is so mushy and clouded from scrolling hours through TikTok, playing video games, and watching porn. He's sort of passionless about anything since he has fried his dopamine receptors with the low pleasure habits. He can't decide and he lets his friends and his family to influence the most important decision of his life. Johnny went on to pursue the career that he did not think through and did not consider all the variables that affects his performance and his mental and physical well-being. But now Johnny has a growing feel of regret. What he thought he liked does not align to his dreams at all. He is miserable and depressed because he wasted a year of his life doing a thing that is not important to him. Because he did not lay out his concerns and wants out in the open in order to make the best decision for himself. Johnny just needed a wake-up call from his father or from his future self to abandon the soul-destructing, mind-numbing, and passion-killing habits and learn how to make big decisions in his life. Don't be like Johnny. Johnny. Johnny, what the hell are you doing? How can you not care about your future and have no decision-making tools? Alright, time out. Lose those unserving habits and mistakes in belief and become like Midas. Somebody, stop me! It's a good day out there. Not as good as me. Midas is a smart man. He spent his youth reading books, doing sports, listening to his inner voice that guides him to his dream career or his future business. He knows how to make the best decision when he is faced with very difficult choices, so that every choice he will make is the absolute best for him. He feels righteous with the sense of conviction on his choices because he addressed all the important variables, all the wants, all the needs in each of his choices. Be like Midas. Let's do a quick breathing exercise to calm your mind and better focus your attention to this video. Breathe in for seconds. Hold. Exhale for seconds. Hold. Inhale again. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Okay. So one of the most important decisions that a young guy usually makes is what kind of a university he will choose from, or what kind of a career option to follow, or what kind of a job to choose from. If all of those choices are equally attractive, but you can't just choose. You see that they're all pretty good, and they have equal parts of good stuff on them. They have their good pros, and the cons are not really important. And you're just like you have so many options, and ultimately you don't know what to choose from. I was like 18 years old, and it came the time to choose what kind of a university to attend when I graduated my gymnasium. So, but since I was a heavy video game addict, I was heavily watching porn every day. I was so passive, I was so out of motivation and out of mental capacity of to choose anything from any of those choices that were in front of me. I just didn't care. I was so unmotivated. I was so unpassionate. I didn't like. It's like none of those choices didn't really interest me because I just didn't engage myself fully into the important choice of what kind of university to choose from and calculate the pros and cons and just to listen my gut feeling. I didn't do any of I didn't do any of these because I just didn't care. So that's like a really really bad thing. One of the most important life choices that you will have is the college that you will choose and the career that you will choose to follow or the job choices that you will have. And if you can't make those, if you let other people choose from you, you will suffer. I didn't specifically choose for any kind of well, I had only one university in my mind at that time. But what kind of a thing to actually study to make this thing out of my to make this thing my job, my career? Like for example, natural sciences or like computer science or I don't know history. If you if you don't have any kind of interest in them, like you if you don't have how to say this properly, if you don't have any kind of interest in any of those at all, then letting someone else choose for you, like your parents, like your friends, or like your teachers telling you, "Oh, this is a very good thing. It's a it got it will have great future benefits for you to actually build yourself a good to build yourself a good career out of it and to have a high salary, right? But if you don't have any kind of inner conviction or confidence and reasoning to actually analyze it and to find out and to come to the conclusion that okay, this thing is really good for me, I'm gonna go for that. If you don't have this in your mind, then you're just in a path of misery. That's what happened to me. I I let my uh, I let my friends influence me. I let my parents influence me to go for the one thing that I was kind of a little bit interested in. It seemed cool, but I wasn't really good at it. I was going for the chemistry. I was going to study chemistry in my university, but I was just barely a C student in chemistry. I wasn't very good at it, but it's just because all the I don't know all the cool kids went to study that, and it just seemed cool in a couple of ways, but I wasn't really there with my mind when I made the decision, and I just wasted one and a half years of my life on studying something that I didn't truly enjoy, and I wasn't really good at it at all. What I needed at the time was the analyzing system for each of those decisions. You can choose, as I mentioned before, you can you can use this matrix between any kind of difficult choice in your life. Maybe you are considering on moving to a different city or a different country, or you're like maybe you have like maybe you have like uh, choices on multiple girlfriends to turn into a girlfriend or a wife. I don't know, whatever, right? You need to actually go over the important things about each of those decisions that will actually determine that if you're satisfied with this choice internally, and if you really think about it, if that have you actually addressed everything, every problem that this thing might have, the every benefit that it might have, how does it influence me, does it influence me for the better or the worse in the terms of I don't know, living costs in different universities in different towns, or any kind of a little thing that bugs you in your mind, that worries you a little bit. you have to consider this as a variable in your average decision matrix that I will show you right now in a minute. If you have a huge life-changing choice to make, then you will want to address all of those things that lets you to perform your best in each of those choices. You'll have to address like the environment, the things that you like, the things that you can't live without, and the things that you need uh, to do in order to survive as a person, then to actually perform at your best, to be the most to be the most satisfied in the choice that you will make. And this is why you will write down all of those variables in it. What you consider the most important things that you just can't live without. Well, maybe you are a very athletic person, right? And you like to work out a lot. You go to gym like 4 times a week, and if you don't consider sporting availabilities in each of those universities in each of different towns that they may be, if you don't consider that, you will just be unhappy. You will get stressed. You will get depressed. You are anxious, and now you have chosen this university that has a very poor sporting facility maybe, and you can't train up properly. It's too crowded, it's too old, whatever the reason might be, and you just can't focus on your studies. You can't express your personality that much because you are like a one who considers himself to be an athletic person, right? And if you can't be that person, it will just makes you depressed because you detach from your personality, right? And your performance in school usually just drops, and you're like doing very poorly in your college. So remember, everything that is important to you, you will have to consider this in your variables. But luckily, I went to school again, 8 or 9 years later, and then I found out the average decision matrix, and I had two choices in each university, but they were all in different towns. Both of these universities seemed really great, but each of them were located in a different place, and the locations it's like they all have like a different kind of a living costs. Your family is like maybe nearer or they're like more far away. The weather might be different in there. The one was like in a coastal town, and the other one was more in like inland college. The safety might be different in there. The entertainment availabilities, if you are like outgoing person, they're also different in there. So all of those things. So I wrote them down, and I calculated my best score in terms of the values of each of those variables, and how high of a score each of the variable have in different kind of university. And I calculated it. I did a math and I calculated it out, and the one that got the highest score was the one to go for, because it got the biggest score on each of my variables that I deemed the most important, and its availability in one type of university. And it's just I can't tell you how satisfying it is just to address everything, every problem, every issue that you might have in choosing your best university. What kind of options and things are available in there, and if you just address them all in your average decision matrix, you'll be just a lot more happier. I don't regret my decision at all. I'm hugely happy, and I think I perform quite good, and I can do a lot of the things that I want to do. So let's start. So let's say you're graduating soon and you will have to choose from two types of universities, and they might be in a different town or in a different parts of your county or your country, whatever. And next, uh, you will you will choose the most. You will choose the universities that seem to be most good for you, right? It's like a no-brainer, right? Right. But there might be like one, two, three, four universities to actually choose from. It's like the choices you might have very many choices, right? It just don't doesn't have to be just like two choices. It can be like many, up to like five. But it's just more to like calculate. Then it doesn't matter how many choices you have. The important ones are the variables. So let's say you're very conscious of the living costs in each of those towns where the universities are located, right? So because you want to have a part-time job after this, after lectures, and so you have to just choose for the best college in that town that has the most lowest living costs, right? Because it's hugely important for you. Next of the importance is that the closeness of your family. You just want to talk and interact with your family as much as you can, and the closer they are to you, the better, because you can like meet up more often and you can just enjoy spending time with your family more often. Next is the weather. Maybe you are a very outgoing person. You like to walk. You like to run outside. You go out with your friends a lot, and the weather in every and the weather in each of those towns where the universities are like a very important variable, right? And you're also like a person who likes to engage in entertaining activities like going to the cinemas or spending time at the beach or like surfing in the sea in your free time or just attending a lot of theaters or going to the public libraries of the city to take a good book and read, or any kind of entertainment that a city might have, right? And you also are very conscious of the safety of a town, like how high is the crime rate of each of those cities, right? Are the buildings like more old and they're not renovated to be safer from burglaries or whatever, right? And the other city like has more newer buildings, newer apartments, and the security level is like higher, then the safety in that town is like a higher score, right? And but you also like to meet new friends. Maybe the town in that university has a very low population, right? And the second one has much higher population. The third one has like the highest population of students and young people in there to actually find any kind of new friends or acquaintances, right? And also, you might be a very athletic person, so the amount of gyms in that town is also important for you, and the quality of the gyms. And since you think that you will probably stay in that town after you graduate, and the prospect of finding a job in that town is also very important for you. So let's say it's like in one town there are like lots of people, there are like lots of job opportunities. The other one has a lower population, but you have more of a career specified jobs in there. So naturally, that will be a higher score again, right? So this is just the example of the important variables that were for me when I had to choose between University 1 in town number 1 and the University 2 in the other town, right? And the next thing I did was to assign the score of importance to the each of the variable, right? So the most important for me was the weather in that town where the university was. The other one was in a coastal town, and it's more windy in there. and the other one is more like inside of the city, and it's less bad weather in there. So that's just so I just you will assign the values of each of those variables to 1 to 10. The weather is like the most important, so it gets the 10. And the next one is slightly lower, but it's also very important. I like to go out of movies a lot. I like to attend various types of activities like bowling or walking on a park or going to the theater or whatever, right? So the entertainment for me was 9 in terms of value. And the next is just meeting new people, new friends, maybe meeting a new girlfriend, right? So this is number 8. This was the 8 for me. Very important to find a new friend, to very important to find new people to add to my social circle. The next one is the closeness of the family. That was 7 for me. And the next is the safety of the town where the university is in. So yeah, you if you go like if it has a bad reputation of having high crimes, then and the safety is important for you, then yeah, and then the score is just lower or higher in that town. If you want to feel secured, if you want to feel safe, then the safety of the city is quite important to you. So make sure you count that in and give it a proper value as you deem worthy. And then the living costs. Since I already had a job, the living costs are important, but they're not that critical for me. Just assign the biggest values to the most critical variables that you have regarding each of those choices. Just for you, it might be different. And we're approaching to the end, and then it's like the sporting availability. I got this at 4. I just thought to myself that I already had this the best physique that I could ever have, and now it's just a job to maintain it. But the job of maintenance is not so hard, and it's actually quite manageable for me as well. And the last one is the job opportunity. Well, I was like kind of between in that. If I will graduate, then I might be better off to find a job in that town. But in the other town, the job opportunities are not so great, and I also already have a job, or I can just go to start my own thing, and I actually don't need a job. But if I need to search for a job after graduating, then I can go for the one that has the biggest one. So yeah, this is what you do. Just remember to write down the most critical aspects or the things that you must have in that choice if you might choose the one to perform your best and to stay at your best, which means to stay satisfied, to stay happy, to have someone to to have someone to meet up after lectures, right? Or whatever. If you can do lots of sports after the lectures, then just put it down and assign a value to that. So once you have written down the important variables in order to function the best, next you will look each of your choices. You look the universities that you have written down, and then you will assign a value of related to that one variable in there. And you will just evaluate. You will rate that variable in terms of how well you can perform it in there, or how well the variable is in that choice, right? So let's go with the weather. So just write this coastal in here, and in city for the university number 2. So we start with the weather. And then we assign the score, like also 1 to 10, regarding with this variable, right? So the weather is very important. So the nice weather is very important for me. I like to spend time outside a lot. So it means that the coastal town is there's a lot of windy weather. I don't like that. But the weather in the town where the university is more inside of a city, the weather is a lot better. So I will give the highest score to the university number 2, which is inside the city. So I just give it like it's not like the perfect weather, but it's definitely better than the one in the coastal area, right? So let's say I just give it a 8, and I give the one with the coastal one. The wind is like, it's not gonna kill me, right? But then it also means I'm not going out that much, and but in the conclusion, it's not that good a score in the coastal town. So I will just give the score of next is the entertainment. So the entertainment availability in the university that's in the city, it's a big city. So that it means it has a lot more opportunities to stay active outside and to attend entertainment activities, right? So make sure you do all your research. And the coastal university, it's a smaller city, and then therefore it has lesser chances to get entertainment. It has like a very small and old cinema, and the one in the city has like 5 big cinemas, and it's definitely like a greater score again for the university that's in the city. So I will give it like 9. But in the coastal city, you can just I don't know, walk on the beach, enjoy nature, maybe a little bit more, and just hear the sound of the sea. Maybe it's also good, but it's not that good in terms of entertainment. Yeah, it all depends on the things that you enjoy doing. Assign the score to the choice accordingly in terms of importance of the variable, right? So I give the coastal, I will give it a 2 again. So the weather and the entertainment variable was just an example to assign the value and then calculate the score on each of the choices, right? So I'm not gonna go through all of them. These were just, for example, like how I got to assign the value on the choices in terms of how well does the variable perform, or how well does the variable allow me to perform my best, or to feel the most fulfilled and to feel the most amount of satisfaction that I can in order to function properly and to feel good, right? I had to consider all of the variables that allows me to function at my best and to have a good experience out of going to the university, right? So just, yeah, make sure you add in the variables that are most important to you, and just try to determine how well does these different variables carry out in each of the choices, right? How well, how well can you do sports in each of the universities? How close is your family? You know, if your family is closer, then if your family is closer to the university number 1, then that will get the higher score, right? And the one that is more far away from you, it will get the lower score, right? You just assign the scores to the variables in each of the choices on in terms of how well can you carry them out and how well can you perform them. Just think about the variable and think about yourself. How well can you perform it, or how safe do you feel in each of the different choices in terms of the universities in the different cities, right? And yeah, how well can you do them, or how good of a variable are they in each of the choices, right? So I added all the scores in each of the choices that I have. And then what you do is just multiply. You will multiply the value of each of the variable with the score of each of the choice, right? And then we can move on. So once you have multiplied, you will see now that you have different numbers in each of the variable in each of the choice, right? And then what you will do, you will add all of the numbers that you have now multiplied, and you will add them together. You just do the, you just sum them up and see what the final score is. So once you have added all the numbers in this side together after you multiplied the value with the score, then you will see the end result of which choice is the right for you in terms of the higher the score, the best the choice is for you. So you will, since you got the 342 on this side, the university number 2 that's inside the city, for me this was the best choice for me, because I got all my important variables, and then I assigned the value on in terms of how important it is for me in order to feel normal, to function, to perform my best. And then I just calculated the score on each of the choice, right? I added the score on how well does the variable perform in each of the choice, and then multiply the value to the score, and then these numbers you will add them all up, and then you will get your final score. And this is like the thing you need to make a very important life-changing decision when you have equally attractive choices, but you haven't like really considered all the variables and in terms of how well they can be carried out in each of the different choices. So you're just kind of confused. You don't know which one feels right. But now you have addressed all of the problems, all of the issues, all of the needs and wants and must-haves in the list of variables. You have assigned the value on how important they are to you, and then I'm just repeating myself. Then you add the score. How well does it perform? And then the final score, when you added all this up, is the best choice for you. And I actually just thought that the coastal university is like kind of better, but the things that are important to me were not so good in the coastal university. So I would have been quite unhappy, unsatisfied, and I would not perform at my best when I have the choice number 2, and all the variables with their values and the scores on how well do they perform are in this choice, and the score is higher. It means that you can do a lot more. You can do a lot more of these things in this choice, which means it's much more better for you. But for you, the variables might be completely different. So I just say this again now. Just think about the things that you can't live without, and the things that are very important for you, for your well-being, in physically and in mentally. And then this is something that I wish I had known when I was like 18 years old, and it would have saved me a lot of time of just making the wrong choice and wasting valuable times, valuable years in my life, when I could have just chose for the better thing that's actually good for me, and just not to have this background voice telling me that, oh, but have you thought about this? But what about this thing over here? But maybe it's not that great in terms of finding new friends. That's very important for you. But all of those things that you have messing up your decision making process, they're all now just laid out in here and solved, and you can see how well they are. So this is it. Just use the average decision matrix whenever you have to make difficult decisions, and just be satisfied in both of internally and externally to make the best possible choice for you. So stay sharp and stay aware.